everyone, and welcome back to the Motorgraph World channel. My name is Mari, and today I'm back with the facelifted calligraphy version full option Palisade. Let's see what design features have changed and how she drives on the road. So now let's first take a look at the front face. Because it's a facelift, there haven't been huge changes, but with the subtle design feature changes, the overall look of the car and the overall front face of the car has changed quite a lot. This is the calligraphy version, so you'll get the slightly matte, slightly darker metallic grille along with this color, which is one of the key colors of the calligraphy, which is a darker racing green. The light structure and how it's curved towards the front face has changed. If you compare with the previous version Palisade, this was geared more towards the center. And so it had a wider curve, but now it's more of a vertical line straight down from top to bottom. And the grille has changed dramatically as well. Before it was kind of like a hexagon shape with the bottom part being more elongated, but now it looks much more refined and just kind of a big stump of the grille, which I think works with this size of the car. This is a flagship SUV of Hyundai. So now we've popped open the hood. Mind you, this is a facelift and the platform for the Palisade is the same. So you'll get two configurations, the 3.8 liter gasoline and 2.2 liter diesel versions. The air filter replacement has become much easier for any driver without a mechanic degree. The more you can do by yourself, the easier it is just to operate and run your own car. And now let's take a look at the side profile. The side profile hasn't changed that much, but overall this is a huge SUV. It's the flagship, and so you have the befitting tires, and since this is a calligraphy version, you have its own exclusive design. At the moment, you have the 20-inch wheels on it. Comparing it with the previous version, there's not much difference in terms of the back design. They're both quite simple, and I actually liked the fact that it was simple and yet you had the wide window. So we've opened up the trunk, and as you can see with the third row seats standing up, you don't have that much space in the trunk. But let's do the Mari trunk test just to make sure. Height from the ground up is a little bit of a jump. So if you're holding a lot of luggage, it might be a little bit difficult to haul it up, but once you're inside, you can see that even if I'm sitting, you have a lot of room, and the second row seats, you'll have plenty of room in the trunk. Let's try folding them because this one actually has an automatic fold. Second and third row, you have the automatic touch button to be able to automatically fold the third row and second row seats. So with that, you have so much space in the trunk, and even with the width of the trunk, it's very large. As for the depth of it, if you fold up the third row, then you have all the space. Like I said before in our first preview of the car, I have good line of sight. It's just that the height of the window is slightly narrow considering the size of this flagship SUV. The seats are the relaxation seats for the calligraphy version. So now I'm going to try the relaxation mode. And automatically you get this relaxation mode seat with 2 clicks of the button. It's very comfortable. 편하다. On the door trim, you have this panel that's actually engraved with these stripes. It's not just a sticker, or it's not something you have inside. You can actually feel that they have ingrained the material. You also have the digital gauges in the middle. You have a wider screen compared to the previous version. This is the 12.3-inch version. And here, there has been a change that before, these panels or all of the HVAC signs were analog buttons. But now you have seen that this has changed into a digital screen, and you can actually just glide your finger across to adjust the signs. And one more feature that has changed on this version is that you can use the rear view room mirror as a camera. So if you have this little tab pushed out, then it's just a normal mirror. But if you close it, then it automatically becomes a view for your camera screen. So you see the different changes that occur first with the mirror and now with the camera. And as I mentioned before, the center console is a bit sizable for this car. For those of you who are taller, might feel that it's not enough room for the driver's seat. You might actually just bump your leg onto the center console a little bit. And for me, who is 162 centimeters, the armrest is a little bit far back when I'm driving or when I'm just sitting around. It's a little bit far back, so I guess for people who are taller, the driving position might be pushed backwards. Then it might be okay. Other than that, you do have a lot of features befitting the flagship SUV. You have a lot of convenience features, and you also have some upgrades with the calligraphy version, and you have tons and tons of room to store your things, including the cup holders on the center console, as well as the door trim. That goes for all of the rows. I mentioned last time too, but it's very comfortable. You have a lot of room for your legroom as well as your headroom. And these seats also have your armrests. It's very comfortable. In fact, in Korea, we have one more grade or trim on top of the calligraphy, which is the VIP line. And for those models, you get a center console refrigerator. You also have the screens for the second row as well. And the door trims also have the 2 cup holders and a lot of room for the bottom part as well. And you have these window screens that can be pulled up and hidden away. The Palisade was one of the first models that had a lot of different features, a lot of new features that were applied to this model. For example, the HVAC system on top here, as well as a lot of the room on the door trim. And of course, these USB chargers on the side of the seats. That was also a first for the Palisade. However, for those of you who were expecting a panoramic sunroof, you might be a little disappointed. You do have the sunroof. However, it's not all connected. So you have a sunroof for the second row and the sunroof for the first row. And now I'm in the third row seats. Once again, I think that the third row seats in any competitor model, this one is very comfortable. You have more than enough room, I think, considering that the third row seats are almost always just kind of stuck in there just to give them a third row seat. But for this one, I can actually, with a click of a button, adjust the back incline, and you can also pull them up as well. So you would expect heated seats for the second row, cooling seats on the second row as well. But for the third row seats, you get heated seats. So they're not just there as a decoy, but actually they're actually quite comfortable and they perform as well. So now we're off on the road and I'm sitting in the second row seat to test the comfort of the car. In fact, from the second row, it already feels like an SUV. So this is still on the previous platform for the Palisade. So with the next version, they'll probably have the application of a new platform. When we tested the Santa Fe, it was definitely much more improved in terms of the drivability, the stability of the car as well. But this one, I think you feel a lot of the vibrations, the movements of the car, the trembling of the roads, as well as the lower platform of the car. So let's just say that there is room for improvement. So for the second row seats, I think that it's very nice to have a lot of spare room and places where you can fit everything in. The seats are comfortable. It's just the drive is a little bumpy. But if you look at the seats here, you also have the ventilation. And now I've actually closed off the direct air and just using the indirect air from the air conditioning HVAC. So for a lot of women passengers, especially customers in Korea too, they don't want direct air onto their face because it dries their skin out. For me, if it's a warm day, if it's hot, I want direct air. But for those of you who might want to have the coolness of the air conditioning, but not directly onto their face, which is also a great option to have. So if you're driving in the daytime and you're getting too much sun from the window, because these are sizable windows, you can pull up the sunshade and it will instantly block out all of the sun. Of course, you do have the sunroof, but you can also shut the sunroof as well. So at the moment, we're driving at around 100 kilometers per hour. I still hear a lot of vibrations coming from the bottom of the car, as well as the wind sound from outside. Because it's a big car, I guess whatever it picks up from the outside also circulates inside, and it's kind of like an echo as well. Even with everything on the ground, it picks up almost everything. We've just come up a small hill, but it drives a bit heavily when it's going uphill. So I'm trying to change the setting into either the sports mode or the power mode, but still it's a bit sluggish in getting the delivery of power when it goes uphill. And the same that I experienced from the second row, on the corners, it is a little bit unstable with a little bit of rolling. It doesn't feel like an SUV. And even when you're comparing with the Telluride, because that's more of an off-road, sportier type of drive, I think in terms of the drive, the Telluride is much more of an SUV. Whereas this car, I believe is fit more for a small minivan. Hopefully with an upgrade with the new platform, it'll perform better. Yes, see, like with acute corners, I do get that this is a big SUV, but still you feel a lot of instability and a lot of rolling on its side. And even when you're driving, you hear a lot of wind noise. At the moment, I'm only going 105 kilometers per hour, but it's still very noisy. So we have the adaptive cruise control on. This is more of a basic cruise control function that's now been applied to all lines of cars. I think except for maybe one model out of the Hyundai lineup. It's quite advanced, and it comes in handy, and it's convenient when you're driving a lot on the highways, driving for longer distances. Where the cruise control will actually adjust to the speed limit that's been monitored and will automatically slow down. I've turned on the camera for the room mirror, and I think that this takes a little bit of an adjustment from this setting, from the mirror to the camera. It feels like I'm watching a movie while I'm driving. I think it's the same with the 360 surround view cameras that you have when you're parking. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it. We do know that it's the same platform as the first generation Palisade. The overall design features have greatly improved. However, the drive was a little bumpy and a little uncomfortable, I must say. That, I hope, will be improved with the new platform, but for now, it does have a lot of room to improve. Please leave us comments and any questions that you have down below, and remember to click subscribe. See you next time.